Everyone has put a little something in the chat, even if you just want to put an emoji. Don't do that. Don't be that person. But we will crack on and I will give you a little bit of a lowdown of how this is going to go. Turning it off. Casey, why don't you run the masterclass? Listen, I'm cool with it. You can run it. You're like taking notes, recording. Right, let me read these. I'm excited for it too. Hey, Molly. Excited. Evening. Who's got kids in bed? I haven't got any kids here. If I did, we would get a visitor. But I actually don't tonight, which is very rare just because it's half term. Cool. As we go along, just feel free to shout out anything you want. Like, even if you wanted to jump off mute and ask me a question, I'm a very safe space. There's no boundaries with what you can or can't ask me. Ask me anything you want. Ask me anything at any time. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat as much as I can. 4 kids still up, so winging it. Wild. It's like a zoo. Yes, so ask me questions as we go along. If there's something I'm going to answer later on in the masterclass, I'll tell you that, but it's better for you to ask it anyway. And I'm still letting people in, which is just great. They're coming through. Right, let's hope we can multitask. I had a spray tan tonight as well, so I'm like so sticky. So I'm going to start this off just while I'm waiting for it, because I reckon a few people are going to come through, by saying that I don't make slides. And the one thing that you're going to learn from me more than anything in this earth is, by the way, I will swear the whole way through this as well, is fuck me, if she can do this, I can do this. And I am so happy to be the person to show you that in any realm of life. Like, if that is the only thing I teach you in life, my job here is done. Because my biggest career blocker was thinking that everyone else was better than me or had these big fat secrets or crazy skills or whatever. And the more I broke through and had a complete pivot of my own career and life, I realized that they didn't really. So Alexa, down by 4. Everyone's in the building now. Alexa, down by 4. So, right. So I'm going to tell you what the masterclass is going to look like, and then because that's always a bit weird. We always want to know what it's actually like. So I will introduce myself in a second. Some of you I don't know at all, which is really nice. So thank you for being here, because I know it's always weird when you don't know someone whatsoever. I'm going to tell my story. I am then going to take you through the process of building a signature offer. Importantly, a sold out signature offer. Importantly, a low time, high paid offer. And then I thought it would be so fun if I did one live with you. So I've prepped it, but I actually need to build one for my other business. So I was like, that would be so fun. So I'm going to show you how that process can kind of work, and like just how easy that actually gets to be, which is very. And then I'm just going to give you like the raw truth of the nuts and bolts of the business that are required. Like, having an offer is one thing, right? But functioning in the business and actually running is key. So I'm going to give you some supportive bits really on how we do that, and I'm going to answer questions throughout, so don't hold back. But also I'll leave space for Q&A at the end, but sometimes I find that gets really weird. So full transparency, this all feeds into my offer of CEO. That's no secret. That's what I'm super excited to do, but I haven't been able to do a masterclass like this in the whole time I've run it. And I'll kind of elaborate on why that is and how that is and how my offer has changed so much. So this is the first time I have ever actually given anyone my strategic process. And my strategic process is one that I paid for this alone, like the strategic part, like how do you build a course, at least £10,000 worth of investment into. And I am literally laying it on the table for you guys. So rinse me for all it's worth. Take as much as you can from that. You can go off and do it on your own if you want to. And if you want to do it together, then we can do it together with my blueprint and my eyes and ears on you and your business. It's up to you. So a little bit about my story. I actually wrote down my story. Has anyone ever written down their own story for business? Has anyone done that? If you've not done it, it's actually key for business, but it's weird. And I realized today that the truth is, and I said this in my in a mastermind that I'm in, I think I avoid my story a bit because there was not a lot of happiness in my story, if I'm honest. But I'm going to tell it and try and make it as concise as possible. But it's probably the longest I'm going to have ever really told it because I think it's really important to know. A lot of it will be the situation around my story, but it goes without saying I've had a very, very big emotional journey, which is why a lot of my work is hugely emotionally and energetically based because we're here to be happy at the end of the day. So I was a makeup artist, if anyone doesn't know that, for about 8 years. And oh, that's fine. I was a single mum at 21. It was a surprise. I thought my life was over. I was dealing with a hideous abusive relationship, which I had to flee. And I had nothing and no one. My family disowned me during both of my breakups with both of my children's fathers. And I found myself at 21 alone on housing benefit in a flat, just thinking, what have you done? And got a job that I hated. I was having panic attacks in the toilet. I was just a complete wreck. And I just had this moment. I was working at Audi, the car garage, on reception, and I just had this idea that, like, because I'd had a baby, my life just had to be over. Can anyone relate with that? Like, as a mum, I don't know, even if you've had kids later in life, but I just thought because I was a mum now, that was just it. And I was going to have to work a job I hated in school hours and make shit money and have a terrible life and not do anything that I love. And adventure was over. And it just killed me, the thought of it. And anyway, I just had this moment where I was like, it actually can't get worse. So I'm going to press the effort button. And I started a business from my living room. So I transformed my living room, which was the only room in my house. And I made like a beauty room in my living room. And I put my baby had like this strict bedtime routine thing. And I got the baby in bed. And I was doing beauty clients from the living room. I'd never done beauty before, but I had got a qualification about a year or two before that I'd never used, and I was terrible. Okay, like terrible. I was doing like leg waxing, nails, but it was just this like spark of hope that I'd never had before. So anyway, we won't stay there for too long because that was 11 years ago. But fast forward, and the business moved really fast. It didn't feel like it at the time, but it did move really fast because my back was against the wall and I had to feed myself and a child. And I think the common theme through my story, which I wonder if you can see for yourself as well, or maybe as what's going to ignite you if maybe you haven't, you've had different hardships in your life and they haven't been like this necessarily, is extraordinary things are possible for you. And actually, the biggest privilege you can be given is being put in a completely dire situation with your back against the wall. Because if I hadn't had my life fall apart several times like it had, I would have no idea what I'm capable of. Like, I would just be a sitting duck in some average life. And the thought of that kills me. But it really did take me to have to feed a human being with no support to find that in myself. And it was horrible. And it's so easy to tell that kind of story in hindsight of, oh, I started this thing and it went well and ha, everything's fine now. But like at the time, it was like I remember shaking before the first client arrived in terror and being petrified as I started making these moves. I remember sitting in my kitchen when she was at nursery thinking, how the fuck do you build a business? I don't know what to do. I started this Facebook page. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know how to find clients. I don't know what I should charge them. I don't know how I take payments from them. I don't know if I should register. And remember, all of those moments were so low. So it's so easy when you're on the other side to be like, it just happened and it was so easy, but it really wasn't. And I want to acknowledge how that really is the truth for us at every pivot or every next level. And you're not going to be on this call if you're not expecting to enter some kind of next level. And I think we always feel like that version of ourselves, like I was at 21, sat in the kitchen, very much alone, thinking, I'm not good enough for this and I don't know how to do it. So my business ended up exploding. I won a big national award, which set it in really good stead. It went really well. I got premises and I bought a house and I had a little studio. Everything was wonderful. But during that time, I was actually really, really unwell. So I met my then long-term partner and we went on to have two kids. But I had a long-term disease as well. So I had to have 5 surgeries during running that business and had chronic pain the whole time and was not really, really not well. And it was that point that the business was great. I'd hit the 6-figure thing. On paper, it was fine, but it felt really hard. And during my surgeries, it gave me so much resilience because I remember pulling IVs out of my hand to get to weddings. And I remember just being in a situation where I was like, I literally either can't work and build this business, or I'm going to have to only build this business through pain and pressure and vomiting in the toilets at jobs and putting a brave face on and not knowing how I'm going to be tomorrow. And that really was my experience of entrepreneurship. Can anyone relate in any way? Um, like it was just hard and it was just horrible. But I think I'd made a decision, like a soul contract at some point, maybe 21, that my only option was to create something extraordinary. And I realized that I had to be the sacrifice from the beginning. And I think women make that decision so many times is this is the thing that I want from my life and from my family, and something has to give, and the only thing that can give is me. It can't be anything else. So fast forward, and I found myself single with 3 children. My youngest was 9 months, my middle was 1, and my eldest was 6. They also had different dads, and I never had a time where I didn't have any of them, and I did not have easy babies. And I had to take the mortgage on. I had no family. I had no money. It was after COVID. My 6-figure business had crumbled again because lockdown shut it down. I had no other way of making income at that time. And then I'd had back-to-back maternity leaves, and your clients do move on. Like, no matter how good your rep is, your clients do move on. And I remember just being faced with this, like, oh my God, like this impending doom. I was like, I'm gonna have to sell the house, move into a flat with the kids. I had to sell my car, everything. It was just, you know. But again, I remember having this moment, which probably didn't feel quite so lighthearted at the time, but it was like, I just will not be this crusty single mum. Sorry, but that was like literally my thought process. Like, I refuse. Like, I just refuse. So again, it's that common theme the whole way through of like, it was just a decision. No part of it, honey. No part of it was ever that it was easy or that I had time or loads of support or a mum coming around to look after the babies. It was shit, but it was just a decision. Decision to crumble, decision to live an average life, or decision to do extraordinary life. But at the time, again, I knew I had to be the compromise, which I really, really was. So as this went on and I started building the business up is when I fell into mentorship. So I opened a membership where I showed business owners basically how to move from startup to 6 figures. It was half mindset, half strategy. It was kind of the basics of business. And it was my first experience of earning any kind of money that didn't require my hands-on time. It was my first ever taste of leveraged income, as in, oh my God, there's several people here and unlimited people. And although I'd taught quite a lot of group stuff at this point, I did a lot of makeup teaching. I did a couple of big events, quite a lot of small events, quite a lot of medium-sized events. It was my first experience of that kind of online income. And I was like, this is game changing. Like, it just felt different. It was just like that first taste of something is just a whole other experience. And I was like, there's a whole other world out here for me. At the same time, I also got into online product sales. So I started selling makeup on Instagram. I'd never, ever sold a product on Instagram before. And I did really well. I had record-breaking sales. Again, not because I was special, certainly not because my marketing was any good. I have looked back at some of my marketing and died, right? But because I was just willing to take messy action and I had 3 mouths to feed. And I didn't have time to wallow in my own pity of like, I'm scared to show up online. Like, it just wasn't an option. It was like, bitch, show up and feed the fucking kids and save your house. So that's what I did. And funnily enough, when you need something to work, you find that you're pretty capable of it and you can get into it. And I would sell this makeup. There was no drop ship. I had to like order it in and then package it up and send it out. And I'd be like packaging these parcels at like 10 o'clock after getting all three kids to bed. And I was fucking knackered. But I was like, I felt like I had made it. You know, I'd be making like a grand a month just from this product. And to me at the time, that was just mind blowing. And I tasted hope, is what I tasted. And I started to see another way. So really from there, the insanity just 10 times. I don't even know how this happened, but between that, network marketing, my membership doing pretty well, me getting one quite cheap, but at the time it felt like a lot, one-to-one, I shut my makeup business and I decided to go all in on my online income, which was insane. I mean, I think at the time I was making like 2.5 grand at the most, probably. So literal insanity. But again, just like determined, this is what I'm gonna do. I was absolutely terrified, but I was just like, every time I don't function with a safety net of a plan B, it has to work and it does work. And I just kept asking myself along the way, like, what is the worst case scenario? Like the actual worst case scenario is I fail my mortgage and I have to beg, borrow, and steal, or have my house repossessed or something like that. And then I'll have to move out anyway. Like literally worst case scenario is like I have to ask my neighbor for food. Like, am I okay with that? Yes. Is that what I want? No. Then get back to work. But keep taking the risks because I had to keep weighing up my energy and my priorities. And I had three very, very requiring children. And I didn't have the time to be fannying around with a business that I knew ultimately could not support us in the position I was in. I couldn't keep missing sports days. I couldn't keep not being able to go and get them from school when they were ill. I couldn't be in 15 places at one time and making money. I just couldn't do it. I remember taking on Saturday appointments in the studio because I literally had to make ends meet to do makeovers, and I had to leave all three kids in the house in the garden on their own at like one, just under 1 and 6. It was completely inappropriate, but it was the reality. What else was I supposed? I literally didn't know what else to do, and I didn't have anyone. And I was like, it just can't be like this, and I can't drag this situation out. So that was my personal journey. I managed to relocate us to the sea just about by the skin of my teeth. I did better and better in network marketing. I learned a lot. I had a crazy few years, but I kind of constantly kept hitting this income ceiling. And I started seeing things quite differently, like especially through my coaching. And I started being increasingly fascinated about how, especially in network marketing, I could see that two people could be given exactly the same opportunity and have two completely different outcomes. And I found that really interesting. Has anyone like witnessed that firsthand as well in any kind of arena or business setup like that before? And I was like, what is that? Because back in the day, when I was less experienced, I definitely used to think that success was like luck of the wind. Like, oh, the wind will blow and maybe I'll blow up. I remember in being in makeup waiting for like my big break. I always used to wait for my big break. I remember like hiring this absolute rip-off PR woman, and I was like, that's it. This is my break. I don't know what break I thought. Like I was a classic like I don't know how to run my business from here, so I will just waste money in marketing or PR. But it was where I was. Like I didn't know anything different. And so I just thought that either it kind of happened or it kind of didn't. And then I thought maybe some people were just like successful people and some people weren't. And then the more I worked with people, and I'm fascinated about people and how people's minds work, and started learning more and more about neuroscience and pairing pieces of spirituality and neuroscience together and just plain facts in front of me with business and building these businesses that were clearly successful, I started seeing that there are two types of people, but there are two types of people, and one of them don't want it, and that's fine, and they wouldn't be on this call. They would certainly not want to be in my energy. And the second ones do want it. And in the category of the people that do want more, they just have to make a decision. But they can spend this whole long wasted lifetime not realizing that. And all they really actually need to do is make a decision that they are someone extraordinary and they want something extraordinary, and then just put the pieces together and get some support putting the pieces together and be around people that put the pieces together. And that's it. And that we can overcomplicate it so much, but it really came down to how people saw themselves. And it kind of got to a point where I'll wrap it up in a sec, but I realized even within my own coaching, there was another layer that was required, and I wasn't going to be able to teach that layer until I'd become it myself. So I closed everything and I took essentially a fallow year. I'd created a different source of income with shares in a business that I had, which was completely external to me, and rode on residual income, a bit of support from a partner that lived with me at the time, and this business that I had running. Because I needed to figure out this pathway of how normal people that are meant for more and want more become it and don't waste their life. Because the people that don't want it aren't in the conversation. But I realized that if I was the version of me that was mega successful, and I taught personal development at this point, okay, and I taught business. If I was the version of me and there wasn't any more work to do on myself, then I would have the according result. You know? Like, I would be like, no, I have the right mindset, I have the right work ethic, I have the right beliefs about myself. But if that were true, by now, I would have the result. But until that point, I just thought, I just have to keep going. I just have to give it more time. I just have to work harder. I just have to do more. But it didn't make a difference because every single business model that I tried, I would cap out. So that is what I did in my, I do have balls of steel. Not willingly, I did not choose to make those balls of steel, but thank you, universe, for the testing. But yeah, from there, I took my year out. And I spoke to God on my lawn and did some crazy fucking shit. And I cracked the code fully. And that is where CEO was originally born from, is I created the 10 steps to truly become the version of you that is capable of wild success, unlimited success, whatever the fuck you want. And what I needed to do was launch my program CEO, which was the 10 steps to becoming, which of course included business strategy at the end as well. The 10th step is business strategy. So social media, how to sell, all the stuff that I'd nailed in business. Okay. But the stuff that before I used to think this is the holy grail. Just teach them how to sell in the DMs and everything will be okay. Okay. And then I'd teach people and they couldn't do it. And I'd be like, what's happening? But what I needed to do with CEO is I needed to prove the success of my program first. So I sold CEO mostly on an emotional basis, which I really wanted to be able to do because I knew eventually when I had amazing success with building a unique program in my own unique way, I could give other people the confidence that they could do that in an arena that's not business and money. Because I often think there is a attitude towards, sometimes it's just like, it's easy to sell that because you're showing people how to make money. Has anyone felt that before? Because I have. Yeah? Like, or like, it's easy for you to make that reel go viral because you're talking about how to make Instagram reels go viral. Like, it is true. Like, they're in an easy niche, you know? So CEO is a program that I've had success with purely on a personal level on my personal page and also on my business page originally. And now that we have got to the 8-month mark, it was originally a 6-month program. It's now a 7-month program. The program itself has earned me a absolute fuckload of money. And I can now very confidently, because I have created the result myself, because I refuse to teach something that I have not tried, tested, and proven, very confidently say to people, I can show you how to make a sold out offer. So that was my career story, basically, and the long and short of it. Behind that were so many nuts and bolts of limiting beliefs I had no idea that I had, blocks around money that I had No idea that I had things around scarcity mindset, inability to receive. I had no fucking idea, as such a hardworking woman that I'd had to be a provider, that being in my masculine was fully compromising my own success. But the one thing that it came down to, this is the one thing that I want you to write down, remember, boil it over, think about it in the shower, think about it when you're driving, is I realized the secret was to see myself as the version who already had it. And this is categorically now, annoyingly, the most overused piece of advice by people who are absolutely not walking this walk. I even bring clients in who are like, I get it. And then I'm like, mm-mm. Fully becoming the version. So the first thing I want you to write down for yourself, feel free to put it in the chat if you want, but you are going to write this down or you're going to say it out loud to yourself, is who is that version? Because there is no point driving your business model any further and doing all of the hard work that you do and pour the passion and the love into it because you give a shit so much about the thing that you do if you aren't clear on this. And when I was pivoting from my small membership, and I had one-to-one client at the time who I charged 100 quid a session. So when I was pivoting from that, which was pretty low paid business, but an amazing rite of passage, and I had the best time and I loved it and I learned everything during it. I was doing these courses and stuff in, how to build a program, how to build a course, and it was so above my pay grade. Like I had just figured out how to use Zoom and I had an HP and like that was it. I was a makeup artist, right? But even to transition into having the membership, let alone to actually consider having my own program, the one thing I hadn't considered was that. It makes sense, right? Instead of being Liz, the beginner, who has this like very casual on the side membership and can hardly call herself a coach because she's not quite owned it yet and thinks she's a bit of a mess behind closed doors and kind of looks like she's doing great on paper but feels like a bit of a fraud because deep down she knows she's not anywhere near her potential. That's how I saw myself inside. That was the truth. And I was that Liz somehow trying to build a six-figure program. Do you think there might be some discord between those two things? Yeah? But that's all we've ever known. Is you've only ever known to be the version of yourself now, and then have the pathway, and then follow the pathway, and then hope that when you're on the pathway, it makes you somehow feel more qualified, which is relying on external validation to a T. It's completely codependent to your external result. So what then ends up happening is, like I do now, I get clients come to me, not all clients, but I get some clients come to me going, why do I earn £20,000 a month and not feel successful at all? I need to work with you because that is some kind of fuckery that I feel ripped off by. Why am I earning this money and I don't feel content? Because the whole way they were them forcing the success, hustling, and constantly relying on another sale or another client or another income level or another stature or another premises to make them feel what they wanted and were waiting to feel: bigger, more important, more successful. So, really, the essence of what I'm going to teach you is not only how to make a signature offer, but that you have to truly become the version of you that has it and then create it. Become first, action and results second. And it is the most orgasmic, seamless, easeful thing you will ever do. It's not fake it till you make it, it's looking at the real deal. Is the thought I had 5 minutes ago the thought I would be having as the six-figure version of me? Are the beliefs in my belief system, such as I'm not good enough, I don't think I'm qualified enough, I don't think I'm pretty enough, I don't like how my voice sounds, are those beliefs the beliefs that my six-figure self had to get where she is? Feeling good. Yes or no? Yes, correct. Fake it till you make it does keep you there. So you really need to be looking at your thoughts, your feelings that are created by your thoughts. And this is everything down to overwhelm, identifying as busy, how you see your body, how you see yourself as a parent, how you see yourself as a woman, your ability to receive and be provided for, which is completely capable, still as a very ambitious woman. And become the version of you that has it before you do it. And that's the key part to what we're going to do. So, who is this masterclass for is important. Ultimately, this is for people that have happy clients. So you, even if it's a few, so you've had happy clients, one-to-one, and you're in your flow and you love what you do. But I think you can tell from my crazy fucking story, like, I didn't necessarily have a lot of that. Okay, what I did have was gumption and I was willing to make a decision. So, really, your experience is kind of here nor there because you will all have life experience, transferable skills. You'll have so much transferable stuff that you can package into a signature offer. It's just whether you're willing to be bold or not, it's how much you want it at the end of the day. But ultimately, who this is for, oh, Maddie, that's a great question, is someone who has happy one-to-one clients and you're maxed out on your time and you really want to understand how to have leverageable income. You're never going to have passive income. We all know it's complete bullshit at the end of the day. Like, even if you made an investment in property, you've still had to raise that capital, etc., etc. But what you're really looking for is leverageable income. So an unlimited kind of offer where you can earn hundreds of thousands of pounds from that same space without that taking more of you. It is not necessarily for anyone that's in a certain place. Because if we look at the list that I've just described to you, and here is the beginning of the story when I was 21, and here is today, really this conversation, can you agree, could serve pretty much all versions of that one list. Do we get that? And this is really important for your client knowledge yourself as well when you're marketing. So where a client is, although it's important for us selfishly as business owners to really know where we want someone to be in an ideal world, but where someone is so much less important than what they want and who they are. So who this really is for and who my work is definitely only for is people who are always hardworking. Work ethic is not a problem. They have a track record of not giving up. They are not in mouse energy, as I call it. You're not like, okay, like you may not feel super confident and you may not have the conviction that you need, but you're not a mouse, okay? You have a personality, you've got something about you and you want more. And if you have those kind of ingredients and characteristics, then you will be just fine in shit like this, okay? Right, I don't do slides. So here is my absolutely hideous ChatGPT where I literally talked into him, little thing for anyone that wants it. But I'm going to ask you one question before we start the process. I love this question. I actually just pulled this out my ass the other day on a one-to-one session with someone, and then I've just been obsessed and used it since. So you guys are going to get it. So I want you to imagine that I am a genie with a lamp, okay? And I'm rubbing my lamp, and you have one shot at answering this question. And I'd love you to put it in the chat because we're not in mouse energy, but do put it wherever you want. So you've got one shot at answering this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, this is for you and no one else, right? Scale of 1 to 10, honestly, and this is going to determine your whole life outcome because this is your one wish. How important is money to you? Go with the intuition answer. Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being nothing, 10 being really fucking important. Oh, there's fucking hell. There are some strong body reactions in the building. Oh no, what have I done? Oh, I've clicked on something on my Zoom. 10, 10, 10, 8, 4. Is it a 4? 9, 8, 10. I'm going up and down. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 8. Amazing. You're actually my first 10s. Great. Super. You can write that down. I actually have an 8 tattooed on my arm, but not because of that. An 8 is the sign of abundance. 9. Faye. Faye is the one that I did this question with. Okay. Now, honest to yourself, no shame allowed. We do not shame ourselves. Okay. That is just a strong no. But right now, and I don't mean by how hard you're working or how much you're doing. And that's where we really want to get under this surface layer of like, I'm doing everything, okay, and really get to the root of stuff. Am I moving like a 10? Am I? Nope, no, no in capitals. No, not yet. No, not. No kiss. No, but how do you? Maddie has great questions, and so far I've answered none of them, so I will. No, for fuck's sake. Not even. Nah, nope. I love you, girls. Another nope. Okay, to answer Maddie's question of how do you, I'll try and do it in a nutshell. I'm just going to give myself an example because my brain is a bit today. So I now am the multiple six-figure version of myself. Okay, that's my reality. I had to get into that reality before I could create that reality because I tried doing it the other way around. It didn't fucking work out very well for me. So the multiple six-figure version of me has very clear boundaries. So I have very clear boundaries on my phone, on my screen time, on the relationships that are in my life. They're up here. Seriously, like if it's not here, it ain't fucking happening. This doesn't have to be your boundaries. I don't listen to the radio. I don't infiltrate my brain with anything that is not aligned with exactly where I'm going. But I don't confuse that anymore like I used to with like over hustling and not having a fucking life. Okay. So that involves things like pleasure, joy, fun, time off, indulgent time with my kids, indulgent time with myself, exploring, traveling, seeing my girlfriends, all of that stuff. But I only move like the absolute fucking highest version of myself. I eat like her, I hydrate like her, I supplement like her, and I talk like her. And your first step is talking and then thinking. So if you were still saying things like, that's really expensive, I can't afford that, I don't think I can do it, anything lackey or slightly lackey, that's not you moving like your higher self. It doesn't mean you should go and spend shitloads of money that you've not got, because that is a fucking terrible idea, okay? But you still would find different ways to answer that. Other ways that you would absolutely be moving like your higher self. So, what wasn't an example of me moving like my multiple six-figure self was me being in network marketing, product sales, and having a low paid membership and spiraling and thinking that if I just carried on trying to fill those spaces and sell more money where my margin was like a fucking tenner, okay, that I might somehow accidentally have a big break and become a millionaire. Was that or was that not the most efficient route to me becoming a multiple six-figure woman in low hours? Yes or no? No. Okay, so it's just looking at your life on a whole, it's looking at your personal habits, it's looking at your thought processes, it's looking at the things that you believe about yourself, it's looking at the shit that's coming out of your mouth every day, and it's looking at your model and going, this is either a millionaire's business model or it's not. And of course, there's a rite of passage. So, of course, we all have to start somewhere. But it's like, am I on that timeline at least? Am I taking guidance from the people that have been there? And am I creating my life from an energy that I want? Like you want something so unique to you. Lucky, lucky, lucky. So if I am lucky, and we all understand the law of attraction, right? It's not fucking genius. If I am lack, am I going to attract abundance? Yes or no? So therefore, my priority is not work harder, do more. It's don't be so fucking lucky. It would be my like secret weapon to that, right? And that's so exciting because to start to shift your state is your power. It's a variable that you can control right now. It's not like I have to land a client right now or I have to start this thing that I can't do. You can control that right now, but it's simple, but it's not easy, right? If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, but it requires something of us. It requires discipline. It requires awareness. It requires a new way. And so if we are a 9 or a 10 or an 8, 4 is questionable, I'm not going to lie. But if we are up there and we aren't moving from there, it is literally like me saying, can you come over for a girls' day? I want to meet you, you're a whole vibe. And you going, sure, jumping in the car, turning your phone off, and literally trying to just figure out where I live. And that's how we drive our business when we haven't admitted what we want to earn. And although it isn't, of course, all about the money, it really is, because it's the representation. And I want you to ask yourself what stories you're making about the money. Like, what bullshit have I made up about money? Am I pretending that if I say I want to earn shitloads of money, it's somehow meaning that I don't care about impact? Have I made that story up? Because that's certainly not the truth. When I'm looking at a multiple six-figure earner, is she having more or less impact than someone doing less? She's having more. Money is a symbol of the impact and the quality of impact that you are having in the world, especially as a spiritual being. That's just the truth. So really starting to look at those stories towards this question. How do you manage lacky feelings when finances are a genuine struggle? This is such a good question, but I will go off on a tangent for 20 minutes. So instead, I have a really good podcast episode on it. Message me and I'll send it to you. But that was obviously what I had to do during my story, as we can tell, because it was brassic. So from here, we are reframing thoughts. We are starting to get intentional that instead of just driving to my house without the sat nav, it's about time that you start to say to yourself, let me pick on someone. Okay, will do, Steph. Remind me at the end though, because I haven't got my notes on me. Kaylee, am a wealthy fucking bitch. I am becoming the wealthiest version of myself. That's who I am now. That's the decision. I don't need to keep spiraling on it. I don't need to keep having conversations in my head about it. I don't need to keep making it bad, or I don't need to keep making it weird or anything like that. That's just who I am. Great. I now have some kind of location for where the hell I'm actually going. And now I want you to think that we're on ASOS. And we're putting the little filters in, because ASOS is just carnage, isn't it? There's like a gazillion items and you're like, I just wanted black mum jeans from Stradivarius. That's all I wanted in a size X. Like, that's just what I wanted. So we're on ASOS. And the first one is, how much fucking money do you want to make? How important is it? Is it important? Is it not important? It doesn't matter, but is it important to you? Because if it is important, then that's quite important. So number one, that's your first filter. The second filter is, how do I want to do it? How do I want to do it? Do I want to make loads of money working 60-hour weeks? Do I want to make money with loads of heavy overheads? Do I want to make money with loads of staff? Do I want to make money with freedom? It really doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. But how do I want to do it? And you don't need to focus on the how am I going to do it? You just need to get clear in a fun, hypothetical way, as if a genie was in front of you and you got one wish. How might that like to look roughly? Free, what's important to me? Is time freedom important to you? How does that look? Is location freedom important to you? How does that look? How does it look? And the next filter is, how does it feel? And when I started asking myself those 3 questions, my brain blew, because the way I answered them was very, very different to what I had built with my makeup business. And I was faced with the fact that I had potentially built myself a prison. And that was okay. But if I continued to dig that thing in further, and I'm not throwing any shade on anyone, even if you have a makeup business, that might be your idea of perfect stability. But the situation that I was in and the person that I really realized that I was, that wasn't actually my idea of success. So those are your 3 filters that you really want to be paying attention to. Just check my notes. Right. We are now actually going to go through the process. Are we ready? Has anyone got any questions? I wrote notes and my writing is like, I shouldn't say what, because it's probably not an appropriate thing to say, but it's not fine. Right. So You have a couple of key elements. Now, this is like 6 grams worth of education in one sentence, okay? Because ultimately people are ripping you off, and you really don't need to think that this is the Holy Grail, because it's not. Steph, my podcast. So you have a couple of steps. I did them on Google. Step 1, and this is how. So if you are wanting to make an offer, I would get the pen out and start to map out your timeline. Step 1 is your anchor point. Put the little anchor. If step 1 doesn't happen, this won't happen. Understood? If step 1 doesn't happen, this won't happen. So before I had done step 1, I spiraled and took a year off. Okay. So step 1 is like, thanks, Steph. Other Steph. That's very confusing. Step 1 stops us fannying around. It stops us costing thousands and thousands of pounds, and it stops us not actually making the fucking impact that we were here to make in the first place, in the way that only we can. And step 1 is actually ultimately acknowledgement, ownership, and a shift in identity. I'm not going to reiterate the points that I've made for the last 45 minutes, I promise. But it really is. It's like, before this point, when I had my membership, the reason I was undercharged, oh my God, I've got hair on my cheek. Traumatizing. The reason I was undercharging was because I didn't think I was that good. Yeah? That's the reason, obviously. So this really takes something, because, and I'm happy to tell a story at the end if you want to hear it, but there was a couple of things that happened to me that made me be like, oh, fuck, maybe I am quite good. But what we do with our own genius is we don't really realize that we're really good. You know, when one of your friends is talking to you about something and you're like, wow, like what even just came out your mouth? Like, you know so much about that, or you're so passionate about that thing, or like, and they just think it's no big deal. They're like, oh, that's just something that I know. That's how close we are to our own knowledge and genius, okay? But actually, until you start to like evidence collect, you can just do this in your journal. Like, you might need help with it, you might be able to do it on your own, but you need to start being like, why am I the shit? Why am I the shit? But again, if your thought process every day is telling you you are shit, you're going to have some trouble with that. But really evidence collecting, like, why, like, what results have I created with clients? Like, what work do I know? What expertise do I know? What am I really good at? And how am I really great at it in my unique way? And the funny part is, usually the thing that we think is our down point or our disadvantage is our advantage. So in my coaching business, I thought the fact that I wasn't like tech and like all polished and like I was like, oh God, like how will I do this thing? Like, I don't even know how to use Canva, and I don't have any intention of learning it because it bores the shit out of me, and I can't make slides. And I was like, oh my God. Like, as I started to evidence collect, I was like, that's why you are going to make the global fucking impact that you are. And not for the wrong people, and that's fine. They can go to Mrs. Polished. That's not a problem. There is someone for everyone. But actually, to the people that are transitioning, to the other people that aren't particularly techie, to the people that do swear in their podcasts, it's so fucking freeing when they see someone who's just like them. So the fact that I was just like me was my USP. And the more I have been like me, the more successful you are, because you can't teach that, you know? But really owning your own gifts is going to be key, and a shift in identity. So instead of seeing myself as spiraling cheap, I'm a kind of hashtag side business coach on the side, and I'm cringing and I don't even want to tell you about it because I just don't even really know what I'm doing. I was like, I'm a 6-figure business coach. That's who I am. That's who I'm ready to become. I'm ready to hold myself like her. I'm ready to learn like her. I'm ready to master my skills like her. And I'm ready to back myself like her. That's what I'm ready to do. Your step 2, well, really your step 1 in the whole thing. Yes, Steph. Ultimately, is how to pick your niche. This is so basic, bitch, but people sell whole courses on this, which just actually makes me die. So, how to pick your niche always starts with the client. Always starts with your dream client. Now, every client I've ever worked with, no matter where they are in their business, is nowhere near clear enough on their client, ever. So that's a great piece you can take from this. Go and get clear on your client. And the second one, they've almost always outgrown their client, even if they're really at the beginning of the business. Even worse if they're quite at the beginning of the business, because they're aiming so low because they're at the beginning and they're spiraling in this I'm not good enough thing. So you need to be obsessed with your client. It has to be your actual dream client, because you're never going to be unapologetically you, and that's going to look like your version of unapologetic, not like mine or anyone else's. But you're never going to fully be yourself to someone who is not your vibe. You are never going to be able to have conviction with someone that you're worried is judging you. You are never going to be able to create a perfect offer to someone that you actually kind of like and kind of think you can land, but aren't like, oh my God, I am obsessed with her. So number one is getting really clear on your actual dream client, and one of them. That's why I have my waggy finger. Just one, not 16 clients, not 5, not 3, not 2, because you can serve both of them. One client. One client. My client is called Tash. That's who I am talking to right now. That's all I'm talking to. Thanks, babe. The messaging freebie is a banger if anyone wants that as well. Just basically message me after these if you want any resources, and I'll send anything that's mentioned. But yeah, I have a messaging and marketing freebie, which I love too, so thank you. So usually this requires you to upgrade it, but it always requires ownership. Because if you haven't done step one, the anchor point, own your shit, how could you ever talk to said dream client and then you go on to build a disastrous business that you don't really love and you fall out of love with and you don't understand why? Because you've built a whole business full of and for and positioned and talking in the essence of someone that you actually can't be asked with. A really important part of this before we move on is establishing your client's baseline. And this is where they are and where they aren't. And this is who they are and who they aren't. I don't want to work with anyone that's a mouse. I don't. I'm not the person for them. They are beautiful. I still want them in my life. I certainly want them in the world, but I don't want to work with them, right? I don't want to work with someone that doesn't have passion. I don't want to I don't need to work with someone that's heavily spiritual in any way, shape, or form. Some of my clients are like, huh? But I don't want to work with someone that isn't ready to be connected to belief of some kind and understand that entrepreneurship is essentially a soul-driven business. I don't. So you need to get clear on where someone is and where there isn't. And the key point of this is struggle. So a lot of us, especially where we're in service-based industries or we're creating a service-based offer to complement our one-to-one work in person even, we make the problem of talking to the client who doesn't need our product or want our product, and we start talking into like this fury of like, you need to care about your fitness and you need to do this and you need to stop being stuck. But you need to talk to your client and only work with your client in their readiness. So for example, one example of my baseline and my client is she needs to want it. I don't want to fucking persuade someone into their own ambition. I can't think of anything worse. I have plenty of my own ambition and 8 billion people on planet Earth to go and serve that need me and want me. So part of my baseline is she needs to want more for herself. She doesn't need to have it figured out, but she needs to be like, bitch, I'm trying, help me. Yeah, so that needs to be your baseline. The second part of how to pick your niche is to look at the common denominators of your work. So looking at the most common process, the most common transformation, the most common outcome, whatever it is, be like, what are these kind of patterns and themes where people are coming to me? Of course, they're not all going to be dreamy clients, especially in those beginning phases, but who are the ones that I do love? They feel light, they feel easy, they feel like a friend. It's just like, fuck me, does business get to be this good when I work with you? That's how it feels. That's the only people that should be in your business. And I honor this to a degree that I actually have let a client go before when I'm like, I just don't think we're a match inside, which is personally why I will never work with automation. Anyway, not that I'm saying you should, but that's just one of my own values and principles. But what is the common denominator of where people come from A and they go to B? Okay, like what kind of process do you find yourself patterning people through? Also in your common denominators is your genius. Like, what is your fucking genius? And usually this isn't activated at this point because we've not fully done step one. You've not really become the version of you. So when I shut down the businesses, like I told you, when I shut the membership, when I shut all my stuff, when I laid on the lawn and talked to God, who told me to put my finger out, I was like, what is my genius? Like, what is my thing? And that for me in CEO is why I do this with people, because it is so fucking hard to fully see your own genius. It took me 18 months to be like, what even is my thing? I could coach on a gazillion different topics and go down a gazillion different avenues. I could go into like spiritual awakening of people if I wanted to. I could be Danny freaking Morell. Like, what is my thing, you know? So you need to find the common denominators between what you're really good at, what's in your human design, what's in your genius, like what is just your thing. And sometimes this is really easy for people, but sometimes if your work is a bit deep, it's a little bit harder. But really the one question to leave you with there that's just basic bitch and just the best is, if my dream client got hand delivered to me right now and my life depended on it, how could I help her and what could I help her with? What could I already help her with? And at this stage, I want to mention something that I do intend on saying 400 times, which is I really, really want you to think about a fun challenge, not in a pressury way, like a fun, playful way of like, if I had to make 100 grand from the skills and knowledge that I already have, what would I do? Because this is going to stop the certificate brigade of like, I need another qualification, I need another surface, I need another certificate. Alexa's telling me to go to bed. Alexa, off. She's crazy. So yeah, if I could make 100 grand from what I already have and already know, I have a podcast episode that's called exactly that as well. I've just stopped booking in 2 clients that were the opposite of my dream clients. Stop wasting my time with flaky, not ready people. You tell them, babe. You tell them. I love this, owning it. Oof, I needed to hear this. It's so hard to want it more than your clients, and then you get frustrated when they don't get results. Exactly, in like any industry, right? And like you care so much. You care so much. So it's super shit when you care more than your clients, you know? It's not the vibe. And the thing is, again, it's just lack and scarcity because you're only taking them on because you think like, oh, there's only 3 more people on earth that will ever pay to come into my space. And actually there are 8 billion people on earth. My God, I always think I need more qualifications. You're so good as you are, Ro. I even know you. Oh my God, Ro is like, Ro, you are 100,000 pounds. Okay, you are fucking gold. You don't need any more. But I get it. It's easy to hide behind Ryan. And it's not like don't do more stuff. That's so fun. But like what I do now is I literally have that set rule. I got the hair. Oh my God. I have that set rule. So I will literally be like, until you hit X with this offer, nothing. And it's so supportive. It's like your nervous system is actually just like able to exhale because the decision's taken away from you and you stop squirreling away from like what you're avoiding doing and like massively overcomplicating it. So your next step in this, let me just scroll down on my extremely professional Google document. Can you see how many tabs are open on my Safari? Is everyone okay? Is your offer promise. And this is key. So a really good tip with any of your offers in general, including your freebies, like anything in your marketing, is it has, it's not my rule, to fit into either health, money, or love. So for something to be a super no-brainer for your client, and listen, of course things have been sold before that don't fall into these categories, but it's not like it has to be in those categories, but you really want to sort of maneuver the transformation and allow your client to see. And really, a lot of us know that almost all of our offers actually help with all 3 of those things and 100 more things that your client never knows about, and you want to scream it from the rooftops and tell everyone about it, but you can't. But you really want to allow your client to see it. And this is the most important part of your offer promise. Your offer promise has to be something that your client consciously wants. So my client on the outside is like, I think I've just got a marketing problem and I just want to make more money and I've got no time and I'm overwhelmed. That's it. That's it, basically. She just wants to make more money, she wants more time, and she really wants to feel fulfilled. If I had to wrap it into 3 things, it's that. And she just wants the fucking answer to it. She doesn't want to spend 5 more years spiraling around. She hasn't got time. She can't afford to do it. So therefore, of course, I know that my client is going to have a dramatic improvement in her marriage. And she is categorically going to message me like, who the fuck even am I as a mum these days? Like, I cannot believe how calm I am. Oh my God, I just took the day off and actually went for lunch with a friend. Of course, she is going to come to me with those things. I know this. I'm in it every day. But she doesn't know she wants those things on the get-go. Does that make sense? So you need to kind of go basic bitch style with your offer promise. of like what it does on the tin. Very clear, very specific, very tangible, not macro. So not like you'll have a great mindset and be empowered. Like I can't measure that. I can't measure that, right? And be very specific of exactly what your offer does and translate it to her in a way that if she wrote on a form and you said to her, and this is where market research is your best friend, guys, you don't have to work this shit out. You can just ask her. You can just go, can I ask you a question? Exactly this, and this. Exactly. If you had £1,000 to work with me tomorrow, you know what I do, what would be the top three things that you'd be like, these top three things drive me mental. They're in my way. They're my biggest blocks. They are a priority in my life to solve in this area. Anything else I wanted to say on that bit? There we go. Literally. In CEO, I take business owners from their first stage of success to a high paid, low time, high quality signature offer as the 2.0 version of themselves. Done. Without the guesswork. Very fucking simple. Very fucking clear. Okay. Inside it is a gazillion things for me. So step 5 is to map out your process, which actually, when people come to the conclusion that they might like to do something like this, or they've realized that actually their business model is more of an issue than they'd realized, because before I didn't realize my business model was an issue. I thought I have a membership, all I need is 455,000 more people in my membership and then everything will be okay. Then I realized that probably wasn't the path of least resistance. But when you've realized that you do want a bigger offer, I think we freak out about the how. We're like, what platform do I do it on? And that was definitely like a thing for me. I was like, I literally wouldn't even know where to start. But now, because you've got your end destination and you've got your client, you're already doing this work. You've already had this transformation yourself, or this process yourself, or you've learned it, or you've taken loads of people through clinic in it, or loads of people online, or loads of people in a group setting. You know what to do. So now it's super clear, honestly, when you have your end mark, just be like, if you had to split that in chapters, she was delivered to your kitchen, you had to figure it out and make a plan for her, you'd be like, right, I'm going to break it up into first we'll do this, then we'll do this, then we'll do this, then we'll do this. And that is your modules. That will then tell you how long roughly you think that process is going to take. Is it a day? Is it a week? Is it 30 days? Is it 6 months? Etc., etc. So all of the things that we have the biggest questions about are usually the most straightforward. It will give you a much clearer idea now on pricing. And then from there, literally all you would do is choose your platform, which is price dependent. So if you were going to do something dirt cheap to begin with, if it was the first offer you've ever done, I would use something like Stan Store. It's very cheap. If you're ready to go all in, you're doing mid to higher ticket offers, I would only use Kajabi. I do have a referral code if you'd like it, but I would only use Kajabi. I've fannied around with School and Teachable before. I hate them, but each their own. I do think it's the best one. So you would just literally pick your platform. You would learn how to record it. And you would just upload your sessions. That's it. I record my programs on Zoom. I do audio only education. It's what my client wants. She can't be asked watching videos. She just wants something she can plug and play in the car, like a podcast style. It's easy in the sales process. I can say to her, it's podcast style. That makes sense to her. She's not often done necessarily program style teaching before. So that lands for her. It's easy. And with 3 kids, I can tell you it was literally the only way I was going to make a program. That literally is how you make your program, which is so, so simple. I don't edit any of my stuff personally. If you want to edit, more power to you. But again, I do not have time. And I tend to map that 1 to 6 process out with clients in one session. That 1 to 6 process took me 18 months on my own, even after investing thousands of pounds into courses showing me how to. Just to give you a little bit of perspective that it can feel easy, but it's not. Right. Is everyone feeling okay for time, or are we like wrap this shit up? There's absolutely no offense if you are feeling like that whatsoever. Because what I was going to do with you is show you how I would do my makeup offer quickly. Okay. Very quick. So I have a personal page where I have a following. I also run a high ticket program through there as well. And I need to do a makeup offer because I'm an ex-makeup artist and it is a literal crime that I have not had the initiative to do that yet, right? So there we go. How would we make a very quick makeup offer that sorry, I was just reading the comments, that I want to bash out tomorrow morning? Number one, I'm establishing who it's for. Laura, she's a mum of 3, she's mid-30s, she's a very normal woman, she's not overly makeup-y, but she is quite girly, she's not hugely confident, but she does want to feel good. I know exactly who Laura is. She is an extreme client, she's lovely, she wants to feel very natural. She can do a bit of makeup, but she's always a bit wobbly. She's like, oh, I feel like maybe I need a huge makeup bag, or this needs to be complicated, but my time is more pressed than ever, and I literally just want to be able to put 5-minute makeup on in the morning and just feel good about myself and know that I can do that. So that's the transformation. A 5-minute natural mum on the run makeup mastered without the faff or needing to be a makeup artist. Boom. That's who it's for. That's my transformation and my offer promise. My unique point of genius is that although I was a makeup artist, I use the same 5 products of my makeup every single day. I can't be asked for faff either. I don't buy new makeup all the time. I can't think of anything worse. I wait till it runs out to the bitter end. I resent buying new mascara and I put it off for a year. There's nothing fiddly or fancy to my product, but I do know how to master an amazing 5-minute makeup with a toddler screaming at your leg. I would then break that down into modules. I made 3. So the first one will be a mindset shift, probably where I just reassure her, like, you're good. You know, there's literally nothing wrong with you not wanting to be an expert. You're perfect as you are. This gets to be easy, and it doesn't matter that your makeup bag is a sandwich bag from downstairs. It's not a problem. I would also start with a bit of prep. So just running her through like the basics, like, listen, your skin is important. These are the things that make a difference that you need to worry about. These are the things that you don't. The next bit would be the core education. I would tell her a little bit to help her technique so that she understands about face shape, a little bit of understanding about like contour, creating a bit of lift in the face, not like OTT, but just like, listen, let it make more sense when I teach you what I'm going to teach you, and therefore it's effective. And the last bit is that I will take her through her cream products. So I'll show her how to apply her cream, foundation, concealer, and then I will show her her powder. Boom. That will be my offer. It will obviously be a 1 day because that's a super mini one. And then for anyone that's interested in the marketing aspect, the point A to B, which is Laura establishing how to do a stunning 5-minute makeup that she feels really confident doing, that's my offer promise. The little bits inside, like a mindset shift, what's important, understanding the important bits about contouring and actually how to do your makeup, that's what it contains. And my description of Laura, mum of 3, hectic, hasn't got time, does want to feel confident, is increasingly feeling underconfident because she doesn't feel like she can do this. That's my messaging. So that's the stuff that I'm going to talk about in my content. Like, you're here, 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 and here, and you want to feel here, 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 and here. I can also choose to weave my story in with that. Like, I get it. I've got 3 kids. Some days I don't want to wear makeup, but the days that I do, I just want to be able to shove it on in 5 minutes, you know? So that is literally a description of how the offer will be a perfect sellout. She knows exactly what it does on the tin. It's going to be very easy for me to link. It's going to be very easy for me to sell because she knows what it is. It's appealing to her conscious desire, what she thinks she knows, not what I think I want to make. Does anyone have any questions about that bit? Was that actually helpful? Point 6, what I didn't say that's written on here, is once I have built out those offers, so my big one, when I built out my signature offer CEO, I never built out the whole program before selling it, which is very commonly known in the coaching industry, but not often when someone's in that transitional phase. You do not. If you are going to build a big proper signature offer, if that's where you are in your career, you do not have to find the time to build a 6-month program. It would be insane to do that. Plus, you will literally be over it by the time you sell it, okay? You guys are all geniuses. And when we get an idea, we need to take fast action or we're over it. And that's the beauty of a leverageable income, because you don't have to repeat the same shit all the time. You're passionate about the result and you're passionate about the impact and you're passionate about the client, but you don't want to have to keep teaching the nuts and bolts of it. And that's where I was in my makeup business. I got 200 quid for a makeup lesson. That was great. But I was bored stiff. I was teaching the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. I don't want to do that. So what I did with CEO is I built out module 1 and 2. It took me a month. I did that whilst I was in launch. I made £14,000 in those 6 weeks whilst I was building it out. But I was so confident to be able to sell it because I knew exactly who I was talking to, exactly how to talk to her. I had the ownership and conviction required that she needed, because your client will always borrow your conviction. And I knew the result that she was going to get. I didn't need to have built this whole product, because when she came in, it was drip fed. So I just carried on building it. The product was always going to be delivered. It wasn't important to her whether it was or wasn't built inside, because it was staggered. So that's how you do it without time when you are a single parent of 3 kids. So you have your beautiful offer, whether you're more at the beginning, whether it's more of a low to mid or a membership style offer or something that's unique in that way, or maybe it's a signature offer. But then you have to have the business alongside it, yeah? Key. So there's 3 core elements to your business at the moment, to every business. Apologies if this is teaching you to suck eggs, but often we know them and we're doing them, but we don't have them defined. Lead generation, i.e. new clients, that's going to be determined by a lack or abundant mindset. If you believe there are literally 3 people on planet Earth and all of them don't want to pay any money because no one's got any money and the economy is fucked, that is going to be a very, very accurate description of the world around you. So lead generation, how you attract your leads in, what your plan is for that. What is your plan? That's why some people do ads, some people do outreach. I don't do those things. Some people create content that attracts people in. Some people find you have to have a plan for your new leads. You need to warm your leads and convert them. And we really do need to be able to answer these questions. Again, going back to the sat nav analogy, if you're going to drive to my house to come for girls' night, you need to know how to get there. So if you're saying I'm a 9 out of 10 and I really want to make 5K consistent months or 10K consistent months or 20K consistent months or whatever the thing is, you're going to need to know how to get there, because winging it in business is very dysregulating. And when we are dysregulated as females, we are sure as hell not succeeding, because we have to feel secure. So you don't need some like weird fucking rigid plan for this, but you need to be able to tell someone, this is how I get my leads, this is how I warm, this is how I convert them, and this is how I serve. And going back to the beginning of the conversation about how does success feel to me? If I didn't know what success felt like to me, if I am accidentally just a busy person, am I going to build for simplicity? No. If I am in a scarcity mindset around money, am I going to build my business geared towards wealth? No. So this is why who we are really is the secret, but the best part, because when we work on these things, it's shit that no one can take away from you, which is the most powerful thing you can have as a woman, in my opinion, ever. And as someone that has maybe not necessarily had it easy when it has come to relationships, which I don't doubt has been caused by myself and my own patterns, and taking full responsibility for that. But I know how it feels, and I even had this during my launch of CEO, is the secret. I had the rug completely pulled from my feet. My partner walked out on us. I was left on my own again for the first time. I was completely unprepared for it. And I had to pull the scariest thing I'd ever done off, which was launch the first time I'd ever fucking sold anything high ticket in my life and raised 3 children. But I was able to do that because I had conviction. I had the identity of the version of me who was doing it. And I had genuinely built my business for spaciousness and life and success. So I wasn't required every goddamn minute of the day. I was able to have life happen, give myself space to heal, regulate myself before I did show up. And of course, it's really hard when life happens, but we know that. But we have to be set up for life to happen, for your goals to be able to be possible, for you to create success that you actually want, not be taking advice of people that have built something that you're like, is that even what I want in 5 years? How many hours are they working? Like literally give me the nuts and bolts of their day. Is that what I want? If not, I do not want to take advice off them. I don't want to take marketing advice off them. I don't want to take business model advice off them. And I do not want to take energetic or mindset advice off them because they don't have what I want. But it's very important for us to start from us of who am I and what skills can I build in myself so that I am fucking bulletproof. So that if my business crumbled tomorrow, I would know exactly how to start something up again and make another 100 grand. And that's what I feel the most passionate about is building an offer with you is wonderful if that's something that you end up doing in our space. It's not something that you have to end up doing in our space. Not everyone does that I work with. Sometimes they just work a bit smarter or build a small offer that goes alongside the business that they've got. But showing women how to actually reach their potential with a fucking blueprint. Wealthy girls don't wing it, as I always say. But really, ultimately, to have the business acumen and the identity of a CEO, where it doesn't matter what happens to you, you know you will always be fine. Because you can do many courses where they show you how to build a course. I've done many of them, okay? But if you're relying in your business on constantly being told what to do next, constantly being spoon-fed, you're just reiterating this thought process that someone else has an answer that's better than yours. And you really deserve to come home to yourself and know who you are and what you want and how you're going to get it. That's it. You have to know those things about you as a woman because when life takes a curveball, you're okay. So, any final words? Anyone got any questions? Real human experience, I thought it would be important to say that I absolutely shat a brick before making CEO. It was categorically one of the scariest things I did, moving from low ticket to high ticket. Yes, it really was. And I don't want to not acknowledge that. It was super scary. Thank God I was being held during that time. I hired another mentor in August last year. It was a complete insanity at that point. I'd actually promised myself I would not make another investment because I couldn't afford to do it, and I was going crazy. And I'd made so many shit investments until this point, and I thought you actually are insane, but I did, and thank fuck because the quantum leap, which I personally did make, to go to literally from like a grand a month to 20, that is something on the nervous system. So it was scary, but my God, how much scarier it is for me to think of where we would be if I hadn't just jumped into the pool and got on with it. And now we have a surreal life. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to tell you it's what you would necessarily want, but it is my idea of perfect. And to have genuine financial freedom, not pretend financial freedom, and to have actual freedom in my business, to have low screen time, high paid, know I'm making the impact I want, have built a business model that gets to be unique to me. I still get to do one-to-one work within my offer. That was really, really important value of mine. I fucking love getting one-to-one with my clients. To really show myself that I didn't have to build offers in a way that everyone else says that you have to, as opposed to take the core principles of what was important and make them work for myself. And instead of getting more qualifications and certificates and trying to validate myself with all this external stuff, to realize that actually I just needed to sharpen my marketing skills, sharpen my conviction, sharpen my identity every time, and just get a little bit better every day. And it didn't need to be this big mountain, like I could just enjoy it and take one step at a time, was very, very impactful. And I think breaking it down is key. Let me read these. I Oh, I love this. Oh my God, I'm going to read this after this. Thank you so much. Have you gone back through the CEO modules and made changes to things? I actually haven't. No. And at the moment, you just have CEO running as a program. Okay, so business model questions. If anyone wants to drop off, I'm going to answer questions in one sec. Thank you for joining me if you do want to go, because I know it's late. It's definitely past my bedtime. I'm going to say and answer all these because I'm in no rush. I have an offer on CEO for the next 48 hours. There is no pressure to come in, but the price is going to raise in the next 48 hours to 3333, and you will split that over 7. But at the moment, you can split 2 8 over 7 months, which is 400 a month. So if you entered that you are an 8 or a 9 out of 10, and you actually want to get there and you don't want to do it in an expensive amount of time or winging it, and you want to do it with a blueprint, I would love to do that with you. You can pop me a DM and we will do that together. That will be completely gone in 48 hours because the price was always going to raise once we hit the 7-month mark, which is why I did my masterclass, which I'm so excited for. Right, I'm going to answer these questions now. Have I only got CEO running at the moment? Yes. So I really, really wanted, like I said this on a podcast the other day, like got the horn over the idea of actually not being a busy bitch anymore and being like, I just want to make hundreds of thousands off one program, and that's what I want to teach. So personally, the methods that I teach, which are highly effective, Steph, pop me a message. Pop me a message. So personally, what I teach is one signature offer on the whole. A lot of my clients do it their way. So however they want to do it, we do it. And I will be like, either that isn't going to work, or this needs to be like this, or I would suggest it's like this. I also take where they are transitionally. Some people are not ready for that kind of thing. Like I have a nutritionist at the moment. She is absolutely not ready to go into a high ticket program. She hadn't done anything. So instead, we're doing like this really cute 2-week kickstart little feeding program so she can start to get in the flow of that. And then we can start to really build that up. Personally, for me, yes, I only have CEO. I do have a couple of other ways that people can work with me, which I take on a very case by case situation. But in my business coaching business, yes, that's all I have. Um, you know the shit I've been figuring out. I could never have done it without you. I love you so much. No, not answer. You're so worth it. Thanks, Alex. Right, Casey, let me read this properly. I just need to say that I journaled on who the 6-figure CEO version of me is, what she does, how she acts, along with journaling about what stories I'm making up about money. Yeah, like money is hard, all of that. Being there. Uncovered something that hadn't come up before, and I literally got a message from a client that just paid during this masterclass. I love the prompts. This was so good. Oh my God. Oh, Casey, I'm celebrating that so much with you. That's amazing. Oh my God, just reading the comments. Right, guys, thank you so much. I loved being with you. Just want to read all the comments. Right, I'm going to stop this. Oh, thank you, babe. There's probably a gazillion things that I didn't cover, but it was very You've done enough. Grateful for you all. Have a good sleep. Sorry for keeping you up late. Love and appreciate you. Pop me a message if you want any of the resources that we talked about. Bye bye.